She was found in over 300 pieces with some body parts eaten by street dogs. In a quiet neighborhood in Mumbai, a seemingly normal couple lived a life shrouded in secrecy. What started as an ordinary relationship turned into a chilling story that shocked an entire community. This is the story of Manoj and Saraswati, a story of love, secrets, and a horrific tragedy that no one saw coming. If you enjoy gripping stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more. Your support helps us bring more incredible tales to light. Now, let's dive into the unsettling details of this mysterious case. It was an unremarkable day in Mumbai on June 7th, 2023, with the city buzzing under its usual monsoon haze. In the peaceful neighborhood of Gita Nagar, tucked away in the Mira Road area, the Gita Akashdeep apartment complex was bustling with the hum of daily life. Yet something unsettling had been brewing beneath the surface. Over the past 3 days, residents had been complaining about a nauseating stench that seemed to linger in the air, growing stronger with each passing hour. Initially, they brushed it off as a common drainage problem, a minor inconvenience in the sprawling urban landscape. But this smell was different, far more sinister. Some described it as a smell akin to rotting flesh, an odor that evoked unease and fear. Theories abounded. Perhaps a dead animal had gotten trapped in the plumbing or somewhere within the building's walls. A few of the more concerned residents decided to investigate, hoping to pinpoint the source of the stench. Their search led them to the 7th floor, where the air grew thick and suffocating. It was clear that the source of the odor was somewhere on that level, and their determination to uncover the truth intensified. As the group walked cautiously along the corridor, the smell became almost unbearable, a visceral assault on their senses. Eyes watered, throats burned, and some even gagged. The nauseating odor seemed to emanate from a particular apartment, Unit 704. The residents hesitated, exchanging uneasy glances, but their concern outweighed their fear. Gathering their courage, they knocked on the door, hoping for an explanation that would put their minds at ease. Instead, they would find themselves on the brink of a nightmare. After several knocks, the door opened slightly, revealing a man in his mid-50s. His name was Manoj, a longtime resident of the complex. He wore a black mask over his face, a detail that immediately struck the neighbors as odd. Beside him lived his 32-year-old partner, Saraswati, though she was nowhere to be seen. The group began questioning Manoj about the overwhelming stench, their voices laced with a mix of frustration and worry. Manoj, however, remained composed, waving off their concerns with vague assurances. "I'll take care of it," he said curtly before shutting the door firmly behind him. The residents were left standing in the hallway, both baffled and uneasy. Something about Manoj's demeanor didn't sit right with them. Why had he been wearing a mask inside his own home? Why was he so quick to dismiss their concerns without offering any real explanation? Despite their unease, the group decided to retreat for the moment, hoping the issue would resolve itself. However, in the days that followed, Manoj's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He was rarely seen outside his apartment, and when he did emerge, he wore the same black mask, avoiding eye contact with neighbors. His interactions became brief and distant, raising further suspicions among the residents. The foul smell persisted, seeping through the hallway and into the apartments around it. People began to grow restless and fearful, whispering theories and speculations behind closed doors. Could this really be the smell of a dead animal? Or was it something far worse? The tension in the building reached a breaking point as residents could no longer ignore the growing sense of dread. It was not just the stench, it was the eerie silence, the closed blinds of apartment 704, and Manoj's unnerving behavior. What started as a simple investigation to find a dead rat had now spiraled into a mystery that was about to unravel in the most shocking and horrifying way. Little did they know they were on the cusp of uncovering a gruesome truth that would not only shake their community, but send shockwaves across the nation. Manoj and Saraswati were known in the Gita Akashdeep apartment complex as reclusive and unsocial. They rarely ventured beyond their own walls or engaged with their neighbors. Unlike most residents who mingled at social gatherings or exchanged polite greetings, the couple kept to themselves. This aloofness had long been a source of mild curiosity, but recent events had turned it into suspicion. Strangely, Manoj had begun feeding street dogs, carrying large bags of raw meat to the strays near the complex. This sudden act of charity seemed entirely out of character for a man who had never shown much interest in either people or animals. The neighbors couldn't help but wonder, why now? What had prompted Manoj's sudden kindness toward stray dogs? The timing was peculiar, especially since Saraswati hadn't been seen for the past 3 or 4 days. While Manoj continued his routine of brief outings and quick returns to the apartment, his partner's unexplained absence became another unsettling puzzle. Whispers started circulating within the building. Could these odd changes in behavior be connected to the foul odor that had plagued the 7th floor? As the stench grew stronger and Saraswati remained missing, the residents' unease deepened. Theories ranged from the grimly plausible to the wildly speculative, but no one had concrete answers. The situation reached a tipping point when a particularly concerned resident suggested involving the authorities. Fearing the worst, they decided to act. One afternoon, while Manoj was away, they contacted the local police, describing the unbearable smell and the strange events surrounding apartment 704. When the officers arrived, they were greeted by the same suffocating stench that had haunted the building for days. The air was thick, almost unbreathable, and the smell clung to everything it touched. Determined to uncover the source, the police entered Manoj's apartment and began a meticulous search. At first glance, nothing seemed amiss. The living room appeared tidy and the furniture was arranged neatly. Yet, the overpowering odor made it clear that something sinister lay hidden within those walls. As the search continued, one officer's attention was drawn to a large plastic sheet spread out in the hallway. It seemed oddly out of place in an otherwise orderly home. Approaching it cautiously, the officer noticed faint streaks of something dark and sticky along its edges. With growing apprehension, the team lifted the plastic covering. Beneath it lay 2 large saws, their blades sharp and gleaming under the harsh light. What made the discovery chilling were the tiny fragments clinging to the teeth of the saws, pieces of what appeared to be human flesh. The realization sent a wave of horror through the officers. The stench, already intolerable, now seemed to intensify, filling the apartment with an almost palpable malevolence. Following the trail of the odor, they moved toward the kitchen. At first, it seemed ordinary, pots and pans neatly stacked, utensils arranged on the counter. But as they delved deeper, the signs of something horrific began to emerge. A large bucket in the corner, partially covered with a lid, caught their attention. The officers braced themselves as they approached the bucket, their dread mounting with every step. The smell emanating from it was overpowering, and flies buzzed around its edges. When they finally removed the lid, what they saw confirmed their worst fears. Inside were pieces of dismembered human remains, submerged in a dark, viscous liquid. The gruesome discovery would soon unravel a story of unimaginable brutality, leaving not only the apartment complex, but the entire city of Mumbai in shock. At first glance, the apartment seemed like any other, with no immediate signs of the horrors it concealed, but as the officers began inspecting the buckets and containers scattered around the kitchen, they uncovered a scene so gruesome it defied belief. Inside the buckets, they found a grotesque ground paste of what appeared to be human flesh. The sight, coupled with the sickening stench, was too much for some officers, who retched and vomited as they struggled to process the macabre discovery. Their investigation revealed even more shocking evidence as they continued to search the kitchen. Some of the flesh had been boiled in large pots, while other pieces had been charred as though roasted. It was a horrifying tableau of human remains, prepared as though they were food. The officers were shaken to their core, realizing they were dealing with one of the most heinous crimes imaginable. The question on everyone's mind was the same: how could they confirm that this mangled flesh was human? The answer came in the most horrifying way possible. As they scoured the kitchen, their attention was drawn to a pressure cooker sitting on the stove. With trembling hands, they opened it. Inside, submerged in a murky broth, was the fully boiled head of Saraswati. Her lifeless face, now disfigured and unrecognizable, stared back at them. The sight was so horrific that the room fell into a stunned silence. Even the most seasoned officers found themselves grappling with the sheer inhumanity of what they had uncovered. Just as the officers were trying to piece together the chilling evidence, the sound of footsteps at the door brought their attention back to reality. Manoj had returned home, unaware of the nightmare his apartment had become. He was immediately apprehended, leaving him no chance to flee or fabricate a defense. The officers escorted him out, their expressions a mixture of anger, disgust, and disbelief. Once in police custody, Manoj was interrogated for hours. The details of his confession sent shockwaves not just through the local community, but across the entire country. Manoj Sen, a 56-year-old man born in 1967 in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra, began to unravel the dark story of his life. He had faced unimaginable hardships from a young age. Orphaned as a child, Manoj grew up without the love or support of a family, shaping the troubled path his life would later take. Despite his challenging circumstances, Manoj showed remarkable intelligence and determination. He excelled in school, often outshining his peers academically. After completing his education, he enrolled in a technician course at the Industrial Training Institute, ITI, hoping that his skills and knowledge would pave the way for a stable future. It seemed for a while that his resilience might triumph over his adversity. However, the bright student with big dreams had grown into a man who harbored dark secrets. The horrors uncovered in his apartment were a stark contrast to the promise he had once shown. As his confession unraveled, it became clear that the events leading up to this gruesome crime were rooted in a deeply troubled psyche. The story of Manoj Sen, both his past and his unfathomable actions, was about to grip the nation, forcing everyone to confront a reality too horrific to imagine. Confident and full of hope, Manoj set out for Mumbai in his early 20s, determined to carve out a better life for himself. The city, with its endless opportunities and promises of prosperity, seemed like the perfect place to start anew. Armed with his technical training and resilience, Manoj was convinced that success was within his reach. However, the reality of Mumbai was far harsher than he had imagined. Despite countless attempts, he was unable to secure a job as a technician, leaving him disheartened but not defeated. Rather than returning to his hometown of Ahmednagar, Manoj decided to stay in Mumbai and explore other options. Determined to make ends meet, he began taking on small, odd jobs around the city. After months of struggle, he finally landed a stable position at a ration shop in Borivali. The shop was managed under the Wallers Consumers Cooperative Society, and Manoj quickly proved himself to be a dependable and hardworking employee. His diligence earned him the respect of his employers and colleagues alike. Through years of perseverance and careful saving, Manoj achieved a significant milestone. He purchased a small flat in Borivali. For someone who had started with nothing, this was more than just a home. It symbolized stability, security, and the fruits of his hard work. Despite this modest success, Manoj's life remained solitary. By the time he reached his mid-30s, he was still... When Saraswati listened to Manoj's story, she felt an unexpected and profound connection. Like Manoj, she too had been orphaned at a young age and had come to Mumbai with dreams of creating a better future. Her struggles mirrored his, enduring loneliness, financial hardships, and the absence of a family support system. These shared experiences forged a bond between them that was deeper than mere friendship. It was rooted in mutual understanding and empathy. Their conversations, once casual exchanges, soon became the highlight of their days. As they opened up to each other, the connection between them grew stronger. What began as companionship evolved into a close friendship, and before long, this friendship blossomed into romance. Manoj and Saraswati found solace in one another, a rare and comforting reprieve from the harsh realities of their lives. Their relationship became a beacon of hope for them both. As their relationship deepened, Manoj began to consider taking things to the next level. He believed that living together would not only strengthen their bond, but also offer them a chance to build a shared life. With this thought in mind, Manoj made a significant decision. He chose to rent out his Borivali flat, turning it into a source of income while paving the way for a fresh start with Saraswati. This marked a new chapter in their journey together. In 2015, Manoj took a bold step and rented a 2 BHK apartment in Geeta Nagar Phase 7, located on Mirabai Andar Road. The flat, situated in J Wing, apartment number 704, became their shared home. It was here, in this modest but comfortable space, that Manoj and Saraswati began their life together. Their days were simple. Work consumed their mornings and afternoons, while their evenings were spent enjoying each other's company in the privacy of their new home. To outsiders, their lives seemed uneventful, even ordinary. But beneath the surface, there was something unusual about their relationship. Both Manoj and Saraswati were fiercely private about their personal lives. They kept their living arrangement and romantic connection a secret, sharing little to nothing with the burning question remained. Why did Manoj kill Saraswati in such a horrifying manner? During police interrogation, Manoj shared conflicting stories. The first account painted a picture of their troubled life together. While they lived under the same roof, their relationship had been far from perfect. Tensions escalated during the COVID-19 pandemic, a time that proved to be particularly challenging for them both. Manoj's ration shop was forced to shut down during the pandemic, leaving him without a source of income. As financial pressures mounted, Saraswati often expressed her frustration, which only deepened the rift between them. The constant arguments became a daily occurrence, straining their bond. With Manoj unable to contribute meaningfully and Saraswati feeling the weight of their struggles, their home became a cauldron of unresolved anger and despair. According to Manoj, the breaking point came on June 3rd, 2023. Overwhelmed by the stress and despair, Saraswati consumed poison, taking her own life. This revelation provided clarity about the date of her death, but raised further questions about what followed. Rather than seeking help, Manoj panicked. He feared that the authorities and neighbors would suspect him of foul play. His anxiety spiraled, clouding his judgment. In his panic, Manoj made a chilling decision. Instead of reporting Saraswati's death, he attempted to conceal it. He purchased a chainsaw, a tool he intended to use to dismember her body and dispose of the evidence. His fear of being accused led him to undertake a grisly and inhumane task. However, the weight of his actions and the overwhelming reality of what he was doing soon became too much for him to handle. Despite his attempts, Manoj was unable to manage the situation effectively. The stench of decay from the apartment became impossible to contain, alerting the neighbors to something amiss. His poorly thought-out plan began to unravel, ultimately leading to the horrific discovery that shocked the nation. The story of Manoj and Saraswati, once one of shared struggles and companionship, had descended into a nightmare of despair, mistrust, and unspeakable violence. As an older man, Manoj struggled to act quickly or efficiently in the face of the horrifying situation he had created. His attempts to deal with Saraswati's body were slow, clumsy, and deeply disturbing. He placed larger portions of her dismembered remains into a tub and buckets, trying to contain the gruesome evidence. Each day, after spending his mornings cutting her body, based on the evidence gathered, Manoj was charged under Section 302 of the Indian Penal Code for murder and Section 201 for the destruction of evidence. The gruesome nature of the crime, coupled with the conflicting narratives Manoj provided, left investigators and the public struggling to comprehend the horror of what had transpired. The case of Manoj and Saraswati, steeped in betrayal, fear, and violence, would haunt not only the neighborhood but also the nation for years to come. The story of Manoj and Saraswati is a chilling reminder of how secrecy, unresolved tensions, and unchecked emotions can spiral into unthinkable tragedy. What began as a bond formed through shared struggles ended in violence and horror, leaving a community shocked and a nation questioning how such events unfold behind closed doors. This case underscores the importance of communication, mental health awareness, and seeking help during moments of crisis. Thank you for staying with us through this unsettling tale. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing it with others. Your support helps us bring more thought-provoking stories to light. Stay mindful, stay curious, and we'll see you next time with another story to uncover.